So, you're being forcibly ejected from your home in Eternum by the corporate AI-loving husks over at Amazon HQ, and now you're unsure where to hang your collection of trophies next. Well, don't worry, my name is Chris, and I've spent way too much of my life playing MMOs, so now I'm here today to try to help you find your next one. In this video, I'll be breaking down what made New World such a special MMO in small, digestible sections, with each section focusing on a different aspect: exploration, combat, PvP, and crafting. I'll then be recommending one other MMO that's similar to, or perhaps even stronger than New World in that aspect, so you can find the game that's truly right for you. Feel free to use the timestamps below to skip ahead to the section you're most interested in. All that being said, let's get started. New World's world of Eternum was truly something special, with a variety of different biomes, points of interests, and distinct landmarks to be discovered and explored by players. The developers seem to have agreed on this too, as there were no mounts or anything of the sort for the longest time, incentivizing players to hoof it everywhere, keeping players' feet and eyes solidly planted on the ground and on often beautiful scenery. I myself was actually a big fan of this, as it gave New World a distinct feel compared to other MMOs out there, even if the travel times were sometimes a bit on the long side. That being said, if exploration is your jam, I think you'll absolutely love diving into the world of Tyria in Guild Wars 2. I've already made a whole 20-minute long video where I deep dive into this specific aspect of Guild Wars 2, so I won't go too in depth here. The bottom line is though that, similarly to Eternum, Guild Wars 2 features a world that feels truly alive and is stunning to behold at times, especially in the newer patches and the expansions. Of course, the art style is quite a bit different from New World, with Guild Wars 2 featuring a more stylized, almost painting-like look. But if you can get over that difference, you'll be in for plenty of visual treats, I'm telling you. The exploration itself is actually one of the main focuses of Guild Wars 2, with items like legendary gear being locked behind fully exploring the game's different maps, for example. You'll feel this focus on exploration as early as level 1. In fact, some of the fastest leveling methods involve barely touching the game's combat at all and just speedrunning map completion as quickly as possible. You won't want to do that the first time around though, because Guild Wars 2 is simply a masterclass when it comes to atmosphere and general good vibes. The game's world simply oozes charm, and it's a joy to both explore and hang out in. If you enjoyed exploring Eternum as well as the somewhat disjointed but somehow charming leveling process for New World, I think you'll find a lot to love here too. One of the major things that made New World unique in the MMO space was its incredibly active and fun combat system. So many other games in this genre go the tab targeting route, with hotbars that fill up far too quickly and take up way too much of your display real estate. New World was simply built differently, instead letting the player fight in a style similar to, say, a traditional third-person action game, with light and heavy attacks as well as a large variety of different weapons and playstyles. This made engaging in combat, whether it was in PvE against the many different types of enemies, or in PvP against other players, feel totally different than any other combat system out there when it came to MMOs. Now, picking a best option for this particular category was actually quite hard, as there are a few MMOs with active combat systems out there. I'm specifically thinking of games like Black Desert Online here, a game that has very active combat, but the actual content that you engage in with that combat system kept me from actually picking it as this category's winner. Instead, I think the combat in, yep, we have a two-time winner here, Guild Wars 2 might be up your alley, if the combat in New World was your favorite aspect. Granted, we are technically talking about a tab targeting, hotbar style of combat here, but Guild Wars 2 is like the perfect mix of traditional MMO combat and more active elements. Importantly, Guild Wars 2 features an actual real-time dodge that you use tactically throughout your fights to dodge both enemy mechanics and environmental hazards. Similarly to how it works in Eternum, Guild Wars 2 skills are actually tied to the two weapons you have equipped, as well as the class you're playing. And you can switch between these weapons freely with a small cooldown, keeping the combat fresh and varied. Just like New World, Guild Wars 2 has a combat system that's incredibly unique, unlike anything else you'll find out there on the MMO market. For an added bonus, the UI looks stylish as heck and never gets cluttered, as you can only use a total of 10 skills at a time. So yeah, give it a try.
Wow, wow, wow.
Oh boy, strap in. This one is a bit of a doozy as well. New World's PvP was for many players a massive selling point, whether it was engaging in tactical combat in the open world against other players while questing or gathering, and perhaps even using the in-game proximity chat to psych out your opponents at the same time. Or signing up for the all-out PvP slaughterfests that was the game's outpost rush mode in massive closed-off 40 vs 40 battles. In short, if you loved to PvP, New World was the game for you. Not only that, but guilds were incentivized to take over the various settlements scattered around the world for their chosen faction, providing benefits that made them worth fighting for. It was truly a unique system for an MMO to have. Now here's where it gets difficult for me. PvP was a heavy focus in New World, but it was far from the only focus, which leaves out something like, say, Albion Online, which I admittedly haven't played myself. That's all about PvP as far as I can tell. Albion also seems to be a bit more akin to an extraction shooter than an actual MMO, but I'm sure I'll be corrected on this in the comments. Sorry, I've been playing Arc Raiders a lot. Now, a game like WoW actually has dedicated PvP modes as well as open world PvP in the form of War Mode that you can toggle on or off in the capital cities. And this nets you currency that you can use to gear up, but I feel like the open world combat lacks a bit of the focus and fun from New World. And as a result, it's rarely something I engage with, even though I do enjoy it at times. So that's why I'm gonna have to go ahead and give this to, oh god, Guild Wars 2.
Game was rigged from the start.
I promise you, this was not my intention when I set out to create this video. What can I say? Guild Wars 2 and New World seems to have a lot in common. Speaking of which, you can find both structured, closed-off PvP and open-world PvP here, with the latter being the deciding point in declaring Guild Wars 2 the winner yet again. World versus World, as it's called in Guild Wars 2, is just such a blast that's kept me coming back many, many times. It allows for a variety of different playstyles as well, like whether you want to go solo and roam on your own, clearing out the map from other players, or you can go as a team in these massive tactical battles where commanders lead the charge, often on a Discord call or the like, and where a slight misstep can mean the difference between trampling the enemy or getting trampled yourself from the enemy circ. It's also possible to both level and gear your character by doing nothing but PvP as well, which is a huge bonus in my book. Now, before you raise your pitchforks and head down to the comment section to call me a shill, I'll just tell you right now, Guild Wars 2 did not win this category. Alright? Now let's move on. Gathering and crafting in New World is a big part of the game's chill factor for me. Heading out into the woods, fishing, mining, or chopping up some trees while listening to the game's amazing sound design. Watching your gathering level go up, and then heading back to town to turn your goods into something greater. God damn, that's a satisfying gameplay loop right there. I'll be completely honest, I always enjoyed the gathering a lot more than the crafting in New World. There was just something very zen about it to me. As stuff like gear progression and doing endgame content are always my go-tos in MMOs, I didn't really find much use for crafting outside of making some gold on occasion. Every individual crafting and gathering profession has their own experience bar and unlocks to work towards, which means there's always something to do, especially for a new player. Now for this category, I actually considered my old flame Final Fantasy XIV, as it has quite the in-depth gathering and crafting system. But I just feel like it doesn't really invoke the same feeling of relaxation and satisfaction that New World does, in my opinion. The reason I quickly disqualified Guild Wars 2 from this category was actually that I feel like the gathering and crafting is quite boring and simplistic in the game, even though the rewards can definitely be worth it at max level. But for this category, the winner simply has to go to, and I bet you didn't see this one coming, OSRS, or Old School RuneScape. There's something about the simple act of just chopping trees, for example, in this game that's so similar in vibe to the way that New World handles it. Just like in Eternum, there's plenty to do here, and leveling every single gathering and crafting profession to 99 is quite the undertaking, let me tell you. Still, it's so oddly calming and satisfying to play that it can be really hard to stop when you're just trying to get that one more level before bed, and all of a sudden you just look at your watch and it's 3 AM. If gathering and crafting is your thing, I feel like you should definitely check out OSRS as your next MMO. And there you have it. Those were two other MMOs to take a look at if you're a New World refugee searching for a new home. Fun fact, this video was originally going to be a very positive state of MMOs in 2025, where I was going to praise New World for how far it's come since launch. And then the news hit. I'm truly sorry for your loss, and I'm sorry for myself as well, cause damn, I actually like New World a lot. And I hope this video in some small way helps you fill that void that you're undoubtedly feeling right now. Did I miss anything? Maybe you already moved on to another MMO? Please tell me about it in the comments. Or tell me how wrong I am about this stuff. I'll also try to answer any questions you have down in the comments, such as a burning one you probably have right now. How much was I paid by Guild Wars 2 to make this video? And the answer is nothing. But I mean, that could change. ArenaNet, your move. Your game is nothing. It serves zero purpose anymore. You should play Guild Wars 2 now. And give somebody else a piece of that hard-earned cash so that they can continue to make a great game and we can all be happy. Because what are you here for? To play New World? Play Guild Wars 2. I mean that with 100%, with 1000%.